Off the cuff? Yeah. Well, I'm very fortunate actually to have that job. Jenny and I have now known each other for, I think it's about 5 years. And Jenny's got a tremendous background. She's a passionate Rotarian, but as well as that, she's a real professional. Qualified, hard-working, has commercial background and has, pardon me, non-government sector background. She's one of those rare people in a very tough slot in disaster aid Australia today. But it's better if she tells you her story, because I don't want to usurp her territory. But all I can say is that from being a long-term Rotarian in Victoria, she's joined us here, and we're very fortunate indeed to have someone who will work in every job that you hand to her with absolute enthusiasm and professionalism. And I reckon we'll have a lovely time listening to you, Jenny, this morning. Here she is, Jenni Heenan. Good luck, love.
Thank you. I need anything.
Can have you?
I don't know how we're going to do the sound of it. That's...
I'll bring it down.
Okay, thank you. I apologise in advance because my proper presentation with all the whiz-bang stuff is actually on my personal computer, and would you believe it's hadn't been unpacked, it was still in the garage. So when I was asked to do it, I got it out and the computer doesn't work anymore. So I think the trip up here from Melbourne, something must have happened to it. I put this up, and this is what I was called. I don't know if you're aware, the ex-Lord Mayor of Melbourne was a gentleman by the name of John So. Yeah. And most of us in Victoria adored him because of his enthusiasm, but none of us understood a word he ever said. So it always made for very challenging times in Victoria whenever he was addressing anyone. And anyway, whenever I saw John So, because I was involved with the Lord Mayor's Charitable Fund in Melbourne, and whenever I saw him, that was the introduction. Oh, here comes the girl with the puppies. So, of course, which everybody cringed, but he didn't understand what we were laughing. So, anyway, I thought it was only appropriate that we just start with what I did. My grandparents, I'm a little bit different to most, I suppose. My grandfather was Scottish and my mother was Irish. So it made for some interesting times in my family. Thank heaven they sorted it all out by the time that I was born. The apple of my parents' eye, as they continually told me. They didn't have IVF back in those days, and my poor old mum had 8 attempts of pregnancy, and I was the 8th time. So she lost 7 before me. So you can understand why I was a bit of apple of the eye. I went to Eastmoor State School in Victoria, and then on to Bentley High School. Then I went on to Monash in Melbourne and did my Bachelor of Marketing, and then I split my course between La Trobe and Monash to do my diploma in psychology. At school, always sporting. And was a house captain in both high school and also 2 in state school. Netball, hurdles, you name it, I played, and especially softball was my thing. I represented Australia. I played third base, which was great, and I might add, I only ended up getting on the field in the Worlds by default. I was the emergency after that particular game, and the girl had a run-in with another player, so I managed to get on, so I was very pleased with that. And debating, always loved debating at school. As a school photo, I'm the one on the top left. I look at that hair and think, my God, what were you thinking? That's me with short hair. My son, perfection in one. He's now 25. He lives in Melbourne, but he's informed me that he's moving to come and live with his mother again. Yeah. So I'm wondering, I don't quite know where I'm going to run away to now, whether or not it might be Durham or somewhere. That's him, God love him. My professional career, I've just quickly picked out some of the highlights that I see as highlights. I worked for the Victorian Automobile Chamber of Commerce, and I ran the Melbourne Motor Shows. I also too ran the truck shows as well, which is always interesting, with one breed and then another breed. So I might add, one of the funny things, when you're at shows and you're working on concrete floors, court shoes, and for boys, very sensible shoes are what you should need. So I always, each year, bought a pair of navy blue ones and a pair of black ones. The openings were always spectacular. I happened to look down, and we were always there from 6 a.m. in the morning, at about 9:30 before we let the media in, which were in their hundreds, especially for the motor show. I happened to look down and looked, and when I got dressed that morning, I put one navy blue shoe on and one black shoe on. So I tried to walk around with my feet not too conspicuously. I then went on from there. I was approached from Mercury Marine, or Mercury Outboards, to join their team, which I did and thoroughly enjoyed. Again, doing all the shows for them as well. Then on to BMW. I was approached there because of my marine experience. That was probably one of my most challenging times. We had a CEO who was an absolute genius, and as is usually the case with the genius, he was a madman who kept us on our toes. I was fortunate to go over to Munich and to work with Andy Warhol while he painted a BMW, which is still, I believe, in the BMW Museum today, which I still couldn't believe when I saw it. I thought, my God, it's a piece of rubbish I've never seen. But Andy Warhol did it. So again, racing. I think my dad used to take me to see Peter Brock when he was racing the Tirana. So I'm a bit of a redhead. I have always loved it, so I worked with Frank Gardner on the BMW race team, and of course Jimmy Richards and Tony Longhurst, and I just had an absolute ball. Also too, we got Peter Brock across, and he worked with us as well, which was a huge experience. I've been around Bathurst with Brocky and with Richards, and they had to virtually carry me out of the car because I had a grin on my face because it was sensational, but my legs were jelly, so it was a fantastic time to be able to do it. I was involved in the first Australian Grand Prix in Adelaide. We actually took over the Adelaide Bowls Club for 4 weeks, would you believe? And in those days at BMW, the budget was limitless, so it made no difference. All the bowlers at the Adelaide Bowls Club all had big smiles on their faces because we paid a fortune. And we had an absolutely incredible time there. One of the funny things that happened there was that my PR girls were delayed somewhere. The media were there. We're taking photos of Jim and Tony with the cars, with the 6 Series that they were racing. And they said, you know, you hop in the car, you'll have to do. You're the token model. Yeah, hello. Well, the funny part was that I didn't think. I was a lot smaller than I even am now. But when I went to sit in the seat, I wouldn't fit. Like half of my backside would fit. My God, how do these guys do it? So anyway, I had to perch myself up. Hamilton Island, I was fortunate enough to spend 7 weeks on Hamilton Island during the launch of marine, motorcycle and also to cars to the dealer network throughout Australia. A fantastic experience for me, and yeah, we had a whole lot of ball, a huge ball. I left there and I went to YNR, or Young and Rivercam, which is the second largest ad agency in the world, and there's some of my clients I had at that particular time. DuPont, I worked on the first Pro Heart ad, and when I finally have an event at home, you'll see my walls are adorned with signed things from Pro Heart and various other people that I've worked with over the years. Dalai Lama, that was an experience. I went to shake his hand and I thought someone was going to machete my hand off, because at that particular time you weren't allowed to touch the Dalai Lama, but nobody remembered to tell me that. So that was always interesting. I spent about 10 years at YNR, and then I went on to DDB, and the DDB group is the largest in the world. ExxonMobil was my major client, In fact, back then they